Namaskar. Hello friends. So far we have been discussing spiritual concepts. Now I am going to start talking about how to put these concepts into practice so that we derive the benefit of spiritual pursuit. I will start with the subject of retirement. Retirement, as it is commonly understood, is stopping the routine working in an employment or in an independent business for making a living. However, by true retirement is meant a complete turnaround from being worldly to being spiritual. Thus, true retirement has everything to do with the state of mind rather than what one does in the external world. A person may lose interest in the worldly life at a young age itself and pursue spirituality. Such a person may still be engaged in work for making a living, but he should be regarded as truly retired, though he hasn't reached retirement age. I will begin with a little story that was narrated by a senior officer who had retired from an organization where I was working. He was on the verge of retirement and had started daydreaming about the things that he always wanted to do together with his family, but which he could never do until then because he was always busy in the office. He was excited that he would be able to do those things once he retired. Accordingly, on the first day after his retirement, he offered to take his wife to a movie. To his surprise, his wife told him she had a kitty party that evening. When he asked his son to come along to see the movie, his son excused himself, saying he was scheduled to go for a game of squash at the club. He offered to take his grandchildren to the park, and they said they would be playing cricket on the building terrace. Something similar kept happening day in and day out, till our retired man gave up on his dream of spending time with his family after retirement. I will leave you with this story for now, as the import of it is rather obvious. I will refer to it again a little later on. We human beings are essentially a mind-body mechanism that is created for going on doing one thing or the other, using our mind and our body, as long as we are alive. Even when we are sleeping, many of our bodily functions are going on. During our sleep, we may dream of and on when our mind is operational. During our active life, say till the age of 60 or so, we indulge in a lot of activity. But then comes a time when we have to retire. Many of us who are working as employees may be forced to retire because of the policy of the organization where we are working. Others who have their own business or an independent profession like medical or legal practice, they may start thinking at some stage that enough is enough. This is a major turning point in our life because one major waking time activity that kept us busy for a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day comes to a permanent end one fine morning, creating a significant physical and mental vacuum in our daily routine. We must plan well in advance as to how we will fill this vacuum. If we don't do so, retired life will be a problem, not just for us, but also for our family. Remember, empty mind is devil's workshop. As they say in Sanskrit, pinde pinde matir bhinna, or put it in English as to each his own. So how one handles one's retired life will have to be completely personal, based on one's personality traits, likes and dislikes, background of life so far, and one's specific family, social, financial situations. It is therefore not uncommon to find a wide variety in the way different people live their post-retirement life. At one end, we may find people continuing to work and enjoy life, more or less in the same way as they had been doing before they retired. At the other end, there are people who do a complete about turn and start living a spiritual life with hardly any interest in materialistic living. In between, there are people who follow a mixture of materialistic and spiritual living in different proportions, depending on their individual inclinations and situations. When we have a few years to go before we are due to retire, we should first do a careful self-assessment of our individual makeup, background, and current situation. Then we should explore the various options available to us in the light of this assessment and then decide our specific course of action. We must remember that some of the options may not be available straight away. They may need some preparations before you can take them up. It should therefore be clear that everyone must start planning for retirement well in advance so that one is ready to face retired life from day one. What follows is my personal view, which is predominantly spiritual. It is not meant as an advice to anybody, precisely because retirement has to be handled by everyone at his personal level. Moreover, one man's food can be another's poison, and vice versa. Nevertheless, my views, I hope, may appeal and apply to some people in whose mind a seed of vairagya, that is detachment, has been sown. Now let's see why we should retire. Some people don't want to retire. Two friends nearing retirement age are talking about retirement. One of them is a materialist and the other a spiritualist. The spiritualist says, I am looking forward to retirement. Are you also looking forward? Materialist says, no, in fact, I am dreading the prospect. I just can't think of sitting at home doing nothing. The spiritualist says, don't you think you have had enough of this hectic life that we have been leading these past 35 years or so? Wouldn't you want some peace and time for yourself? Materialist says, no, actually I am so used to this life of working that I can't imagine myself not working. How will I pass time? Above all, I am still keeping good health. So why shouldn't I continue working and earning? Isn't more money always welcome? Spiritualist says, continue working and earning towards what? Your children are already independent. You have your own house and good amount of savings that can enable you and your wife to continue living comfortably. Besides, an important objective of human life still remains to be fulfilled. A man born into this world is supposed to live for fulfilling 4 objectives, which are called as Purusharthas in our scriptures. These are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma is learning the righteous ways of living. Artha is earning one's living. Kama is fulfilling one's legitimate desires by honest and righteous means. We have so far managed to fulfill these 3 objectives fairly well. Now the last and the most important objective, namely moksha, remains to be achieved. It is a spiritual objective, exploring beyond this perceptible creation and finding out who the creator is, how this creation functions, why this creation has come into existence at all, and finally merging with the creator so that you don't keep coming back again and again into this same world of dualities of pain and pleasure. Then the materialist says, your moksha thing is beyond me. I don't even know what it is like. Why should I pursue something that I don't even know anything about? Instead, I know about good life, keeping myself busy in doing what I am comfortable with, eating, drinking, and making merry. So I might as well be in that comfort zone of mine. Why get into an unknown territory of this moksha business at all? Spiritualist says, look, all along thus far, you have been doing that same thing. Isn't it time to look for a change, if nothing else? Don't you get fed up with eating sweets, after which you like to have something spicy? Besides, our wise sages and saints, since times immemorial, have been exhorting us to pursue the spiritual objective too. Do you think that they are fools, or that they are simply leading all people up the garden path for no reason? Materialist says, okay, suppose I grant you what you have been advocating. Would it entail my giving up my family and my familiar environment and going to Himalayas or jungles or something like that? I am obviously not prepared to do that. Spiritualist says, absolutely not. You can continue being where you are. The only thing that will be required for you to do is to make some significant changes in your routine. Start devoting good amount of time to reading of scriptures, meditation, and contemplation. The time that you are presently spending in connection with your job can be utilized for this purpose after you retire. You can continue devoting reasonable time to your family and community, helping them, sharing their pains and pleasures. However, there will be an important rider. You will have to consciously reduce your mental involvement in their lives. In fact, in all the worldly matters. You may continue doing things, but without attachment, without expectations, without judgment, and in the remembrance of God. Then your mind will be in a position to grasp and experience the spiritual truth. That will be true retirement. I will stop here for now. We'll continue next time on the subject of retirement. Till then, bye. Take care.